Welcome to the Feral Tarot,
a podcast where we discuss magic, psychology, eros, and life in general through the lens of the tarot.
Today we're taking a dip into the effervescent waters of the Prince or Knight of Cups.
This is our first court card, so we'll be touching on how those cards differ from the major arcana and the number cards.
And we'll be focusing in on the specifics of this particular character, who he is as part of ourselves, and how he might show up as someone we meet in the world.
If you've ever known a dreamy romantic with a disconnect from reality, you've already had a 101 on this card.
Likewise, if you've ever had moments where you've been that person, you've also experienced this archetype and the ways it can induce both a lovely swooning or a cringeworthy crash out, all aspects of the absolute flood of feelings behind this card.
And with that, let's get started with the Prince of Cups.
So my initial take on the Knight of Cups was that it was like a card of kind of deep feeling, and I guess like the word romance, which can mean a lot of different things to different people, but in the Marigold deck, which was kind of the deck that I initially had learned with, it's a skull because Marigold, lots of skulls and skeletons, but the skull is kind of pitched forward and it's like basically weeping. And I think it has like a lotus or some kind of flower in the crown. And so, actually, no. So it's actually like a drinking horn that's pouring into the top, and golden tears coming out. So it's sort of this overpouring of cups, emotions, and water, and this overflow of emotion, and both the positive sides of that, where we can think of love and romance being this like very giving, overflowing, overpouring. And then also like the darker sides of that with the grief, the overgiving. I think you mentioned in some of your explorations, like kind of like an aspect of jealousy. So like what are the shadow sides of love and affection and of deeply feeling? There's probably something to be said for like addiction and like kind of losing yourself in feelings. So that was kind of the path I went down. And I thought a lot about kind of the shadow side of love and of deeply feeling. I kind of went into, there's a text I really like about masculine archetypes called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, rediscovering the archetypes of the mature masculine. So I revisited that and looked into the lover archetype and the ways that comes through.
Yeah, what you were saying about the shadowy side of the cups and water, it makes me think about like the overpowering quality of water. Like you can handle a cup of water fluid, but like having a wave of it thrown at you makes you succumb. Like you can't really you can learn how to swim and surf and stay on top of waves, and that's kind of I think where the King of Cups maybe comes in, or the King and the Queen. But the Knight of Cups, by the way, we're going to be probably switching between Prince of Cups and Knight of Cups throughout this episode, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We also talked a little bit about it previously, but we work off the Thoth Tarot a lot, and they've switched the terms up to some degree. But Knight of Cups is what it's most commonly in most tarot decks. But yeah, it's this archetype who hasn't fully mastered its element yet. It's like kind of starting to gain some sense of control or not control. I like to think of it as more like of a Taoist thing of like working with, and like, it's like water, you never control water. You succumb to its form to work with it. Like even putting water into a cup, I wouldn't say that's full control. I would say that's the best you're gonna get.
Understanding the nature of the material and finding a way to work with it. Like it would be pretty difficult to kind of just stick your face into the ocean and expect that to be nourishing or comfortable and get, hydration, but you can have a cup and have indoor plumbing and, be able to take something from that's life-giving.
Be able to direct that force or flow.
Exactly.
Yeah. In exploring the archetype of the Knight or the Prince of Cups, I kind of came up with like several characters that like come to mind at different like levels of maturity for this archetype. I think that's one of the cool things with the tarot is it's expansive enough that it gives you an archetype and you can apply different dignities to it, like different levels of maturity and understanding. And at its lowest level, I feel like the Knight of Cups or the Prince of Cups is like the fedora incel. Like,
ooh,
milady, I've brought you roses and I wish for your courtship. He's poetic, intense, dreamy, but there's like a severe...
There's like a sliminess to that water.
There's a sliminess to the water, and there's like a like profound disconnect between his will and like conjoining wills, or like he hasn't mastered water or flow or like riding waves yet, so he's just like trying to crash and swim through these waves of like romance and affection and emotion. And you have a point.
No, I'm watching Crowley's Toe Beans Twitch, unrelated.
Oh.
So I was going to let you finish your point.
Okay. I mean, the crow beans are pretty
important.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm sure you probably see it all the time, but.
I mean, I never get tired of them.
Okay.
Yeah. They're good beans.
They're really good beans.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point about the fedora, the archetype in this one, which is a little bit more of a dated book, is like the Don Juan. So yeah, this kind of like a little bit like slimy, manipulative, like always kind of like looking for the next hit is how they kind of talk about this like shadow side of a lover where it's not content. It's always kind of looking for this conquest. And then that too is kind of related to, I guess we touched on this a little bit when we were talking about anima and animus, but that again could be its own whole thing. But with the idea of projection, we can think about the ways in which these archetypes kind of exist on their own, but then they also exist as a lens, I guess. So when they interact with the worlds, what do they bring out and what do they perceive? And there's this way in which like an immature or like not fully formed archetype will inevitably project out that its own qualities of kind of what it's still figuring out, where it's lacking. So the projection of like putting on a pedestal, I guess is what I think of with the fedora and with the other like wanting the other to be this like idealized quality, and then it's so easy to flip when it's not like, oh, you're not the supreme perfect whatever that I'm projecting onto you. Well, now you're nothing. Like it's unable to see the wholeness.
You're worse than nothing. You're like this degraded, like bad thing. This filthy, like
all the worst things you could think of that people say on the internet about women. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
or anyone. I mean, but in this case particularly, like
especially what people say about women on the internet. Yeah.
So I think there's plenty of things that could fill in that blank.
I think another archetype that came to mind too, which was like slightly more lovable, was I forget. Did you watch Steven Universe?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Steven Universe has this character, Jamie, the mailman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's like so dramatic
earnest.
And very earnest. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And super flowery and intense. And he feels all these things like so deeply. But he's also like caught adrift. He's not like in control of any of these things.
It's like a different way of being detached from the reality where you believe so strongly in the love and like in what you're feeling, like being so tapped into like, I know what I feel, that it's very hard to recognize if the other person's like not in it. And which in the case of the Steven Universe arc is just no.
Yeah. First of all, I'm gay as fuck. Second of all, I'm not interested in humans.
And like,
third of all, I'm in a very, very deep relationship.
and I'm like an immortal light being fused into an eternal lesbian relationship. If we must reduce it to our human terms, but yeah, that's
That show goes so hard.
It goes so hard, yeah. But yeah, so there's not always the fedora sense. It is kind of like a golden retriever, I guess. It's kind of like like just so much love, so much outpouring. Like that's what I think of with the outpouring of like there's so much to give and like so much like tenderness and love, and like I've felt that too, and it's like the that force of water that's still so flowing and so like the nights are, to link this back into Kabbalah a little bit, are so cups are water and the nights are air.
Yeah.
So this card is air of water. So I think of it as like effervescence. Like it's bubbly. It's kind of when air is agitating the water. It's just that kind of like bubbly.
Brings like movement to what is not a stagnant but relatively still kind of element.
Yeah, something's getting stirred up. It's like, the heartstrings are pulled, and for better or for worse, someone's like, I have to do something. I have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we haven't talked about, we did actually touch on it a little bit with the marigold, but we usually like to talk about a little bit, what does the card look like? And I don't have my Rider-Waite, so let me grab that. All right, so the Knight of Cups in the Rider-Waite is a young man on a horse, dressed like a knight. All the knights are on horses in many of the decks, including the Thoth Tarot. It's just a different designation. But what's interesting is he has fish on his armor and wings on his helmet. And these are both talking about the points of Scorpio that he rolls over, which is October 13th. So it's also Libra. I think that's part of where the wings come in, is the air element of Libra, through 20 degrees Scorpio, which is November 12th. So he's a heavily Scorpio being, which relates to that kind of darkness and overwhelm of emotion. And then we were just talking about not that one, but the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic from Milan Milo Duquette. He has a very like, look on his face.
It's almost like the troll face meme.
A little bit, yeah. But like a sultry troll face.
Yeah.
You would definitely hear this guy say "milady."
And well, actually.
Yeah. Fun joke. Where do men's rights activists get their water from?
Well, actually.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually.
They get it from a well, actually.
Actually, it's oh, well, actually.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
I love that joke. That's
a good one.
Timeless.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it doesn't stay timeless.
Hopefully it stays. Like, there's going to be a history book at some point that's like, here's some examples of the things that we took for granted as cultural aspects of gender. Write a 2-paragraph essay on what this revealed about the understandings of gender and communication at the time of the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Are we in the mid-2000s? Late aughts?
No. Yeah, 2000. I mean, like mid-2000s would be like 2500, right?
We wish we were there.
Who knows?
Maybe we'll have listeners in the mid-2000s.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be like, in the first and early part of the second millennium, they had a concept called toxic masculinity, where males in this time were not able to regulate their recognition of their self.
This is where Star Trek, I feel like, is a nice thing, because there's like tangible episodes where they're like alien races, or in the future where they're like, that was absurd that was happening, or like, I don't understand that aspect of your strange human culture, and you're like, this is the world that's possible. Or we don't understand toxic masculinity. It's just like, what are you doing?
Wait, why did the ones with penises think that they were better?
We should add that to our movie list. Have you ever seen Zardoz?
No. That's the one with Sean Connery where he has like the band, like, what do they call it? A bandolier, and then a red Speedo, and that's it.
And it's like, the gun is the penis, or we like the gun, we don't like the penis, because the gun takes life away. It's some weird shit.
That's a line in the movie?
Something, I'm butchering it.
Okay.
But there's like a giant stone head that then like guns like fly out of the mouth, and everyone's like, yeah.
But do they like acknowledge in the dialogue that the gun is the penis, or it's just like heavily implied throughout the...
There's a parallel that's being drawn there, and I don't remember exactly what the messaging was or was intended to be, but it is a trip of a movie.
Okay, cool. Zardoz is going on the list. Because I've seen that image of Sean Connery like again and again, and I'm just like, what the fuck was this movie?
And then there's like women that come in. It's like very messaging on like gender. Like, I'm sure it would be fascinating to revisit, because it's been a long time. I think I saw it in college.
You know what movies I've found to be like super feminist, and like, I'm sure it was lost on generations, but Ridley Scott movies like Predator is about like what it's like to be a woman.
An Alien, right?
And it? Alien. Yeah. The whole point of Alien is they didn't listen to the woman.
Yeah.
Like, they could have avoided this whole fucking thing if they were just like, oh, you know what? She's right.
I like the commentary that was just like, you know what? I really empathize with Alien, because she was just like, came into this cold world. She didn't know what was happening. She was just a little creature that was like trying to make her way. And someone was like, she killed and ate people. It's like, God forbid women do anything.
Seriously, though.
Yeah.
A bitch should be able to eat someone if she wants to.
Just every once in a while, as a treat.
Yeah. Just as a treat. But that's not what this card is about.
I feel like if we were to loop it back, the Knight of Cups in his fullness of feeling, and I guess this came up in the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, like, the lover is like, I'm gonna love that bitch no matter how many men she eats. Like, that's what I signed up for.
That is like the evolved Prince of Cups. Like, just so absorbed in love that nothing else matters.
Yeah. And then I think they also do talk about these other archetypes. So like Warrior might be like, what the fuck? We can't let you do that. But then Lover's like, no, like, I love her. She can eat people. So then it's about integrating, like, what are our boundaries around this? Like, maybe don't eat my family members, but like strangers that piss you off, that's okay. Because I love you.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the fullness of the lover is, accepting, I think, the full monstrous divine humanity of other people.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of a spiritual guide or a therapist even kind of role. And I was just reading before we started recording in Jodorowsky's book. He tied that archetype to like a therapist or a doctor.
Oh, right.
Or like a guide.
So the masculine like action archetype tied to emotions in kind of a productive, generative sense, being very well attuned to the role of like a therapist or... Yeah.
The lover being like, I'm here to absorb everything that you are and hold that and treat it with unconditional positive regard, or for lack of a better word, love.
Yeah.
I think they just call it unconditional positive regard because you're not supposed to love your clients.
I think unconditional positive regard is I like that take on it.
Yeah. I think that was Carl Rogers, the original Mr. Rogers. There should be a Mr. Rogers tarot. That would be fun.
Would they all be Mr. Rogers quotes or?
I think there could be a quote probably associated with each one, but then you do also have characters like I think King Friday would be like maybe the King of Swords. You have Lady Elaine Fairchild, who would definitely be like a Queen of Wands kind of character. Daniel Tiger could be like the Sun, maybe. Crowley would be the Chariot.
That sounds right. I feel like I missed out on Mr. Rogers. I didn't. So these are all new to me.
I have that deeply ingrained from my childhood.
That's probably a good thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely created some discordance with like how the world actually works and how one idealizes the world, but like
The world isn't what Mr. Rogers told me it was going to be.
no. The world is severely disappointing Mr. Rogers right now.
Do you think Mr. Rogers is a manifestation of kind of the Prince of Cups?
That's a good question. I think Mr. Rogers would be the Knight or the King of Cups. I think because the Prince of Cups has that like shadow side of.
There's more fluctuation between
Yeah.
kind of the selfish versus the selfless.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like the shadow of Mr. Rogers.
Dark Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Or like what there has to be like a shadow of his teachings.
Maybe
or
like a toxic positivity, like the sun.
Yeah. And like if everyone's special, no one is special kind of thing.
Like that villain from from the Incredibles. You know
Oh,
it?
right.
Yeah.
Syndrome. Yeah.
Where it's like there would be an apathy that would stem from that rather than recognizing like the beauty of everything in the mundane. It would be like, well, nothing's special. Like, why even bother? Which would, it'd be like very depressing.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that's kind of like the antithesis of what he teaches, but I mean, I guess that's where shadow can come in.
What would you say the thesis would be?
I would relate it like more to something like Thelema, like every man and woman is a star, every person is a star. Like that does mean that there's like similarity, but I mean like each star has its own system around it, like its own thing that is like completely unique to it and is needed for consciousness to fully experience itself.
Yeah, that was my sense with the sun card.
That's what you get from the sun card.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Like that would be his if we were to pick a card.
Yeah, I like that for him.
So we talked about the lover archetype. We talked a little bit about the shadow sense of it. I don't know how much more. We could probably talk a long time about shadow. So when I was pulling from the Rust Belt, the author associated with the Knight of Cups in this deck was David James Duncan, who I'm not very familiar with, although he does have a book when I looked him up that's called God Laughs and Plays. And it's about kind of churchless. Anyway, he has a book called God Laughs and Plays that sounds intriguing, so I need to look into it. But there's really not a lot of other linkage to what this card entails as it relates to kind of the archetypes you've been talking about for Knight of Cups. So I pulled other cards, which I've been trying to do as like a deck, give me more, like what is coming up. Because I think we dance around this, but I think of tarot as a way to open yourself up to things that don't immediately come to you. So that was when I pulled the Eight of Cups, which has Jacob's Ladder pictured on it and also the Tower. So to me, that was bringing out Eight of Cups is escape, which is, I actually kind of very relevant to some of the darker sides that we were touching on, and also the Tower. So escape is kind of the like fantasy aspect, I think, of the Knight of Cups, where love and affection can be both a positive escape where you are kind of losing yourself in, I guess, like a spiritual truth that comes when you're in unity with another person, is sort of feeling that unconditional positive regard. And also it can be a detachment. It can be, which has come up in some of the other guides that we've looked at for this card, where it's a detachment from reality. You've lost touch with the actual humanity of another person, or the situation. And that's, I think, where the Tower would come in, where it's kind of a collapse of, you can have a collapse of ego from like a positive love connection where you're dissolved into the experience, like you would experience on like a drug experience. It's sort of like your own endogenous
It's
brain
the incel
chemicals.
like crashing out after they've been rejected.
Yeah, so that would be the darker side of it, rather than like a generative ego dissolution. You're having like an ego possession, unable to kind of process that.
I think the Eight of Cups is also indolence in another deck, if not the Thoth
The
Tarot.
Thoth, yeah.
And the Rider-Waite image for it is someone standing there with like some cups stacked, but they're not all stacked, and they're like walking away from it. I think it's that moment of like what you're talking about is with that ego possession is the moment of like, I'm no longer in it for the process. I'm no longer like, lust of result has taken over.
Yeah.
Like, and you've given up on result because that lust is like intolerable.
Yeah, and it's like unable to, I think, process like, hey, maybe 3 cups are still here and full. I'm too focused on the 5 that are spilled, and I'm just throwing up my hands.
Yeah, that's the Eight of Cups would definitely be a shadow aspect of the Prince of Cups. Yeah, there's something about the court cards that seems a little bit more finite than even the minor arcana. Like they do rule over like a vast portion of the zodiac, and like they're bigger archetypes, I guess, just by the limited amount of them. But they do paint like a pretty clear picture of an archetype. They don't seem like as expansive as, definitely not as expansive as a major arcana, where they're taking into account like a whole breadth of things. And I think like the minor arcana. Did I say the minor arcana just now?
You did. I think you may have.
I meant the major
okay.
arcana, and then also I think they may not even be as vast as the minor arcana.
Okay, interesting.
Where, I mean, like we just described like the Eight of Cups pretty well, but I mean, I feel like that could be like a million other things too. I don't know.
Yeah, the court cards. So the major arcana are kind of large life turning events, large ways that life is experiencing itself through us, and also chapters, I think of. And then the minor arcana are more discrete aspects of the various levels of our human experience, broken down by mental, emotional, material, and like creative, is how I view those. Then the court cards, because they're people, I guess I think of as sort of constellations of the way that their suit. So in this case, the Knight of Cups, how are those being like embodied? So we have like the page or the princess, or there's a lot of variation in how I guess the court cards are labeled often in different decks. But in here, the prince or the Knight of Cups, which is the, I guess we've kind of been playing with it as like the less mature, the incomplete masculine archetype versus the king, is kind of like a carrier. Like I think of it as like it's carrying its suit into the world. Whereas the page or the princess is kind of like the inception. It's kind of like when we think of, actually, I think for for this suit, for the cups, the page of cups is like new ideas. And it's like a young woman holding a cup with a fish coming out of it. So it's like unexpected emotional discoveries, like unexpected ideas. So it's sort of like that inception of like that emotional journey, that emotional. So there's like an inception point, there's like carrying it into the world, and then the king and the queen, and we can think of as sort of like the fruit that would come from like the blossoming and the growth of that. And then the way that we might use them in a tarot reading is like, this is a person or this is a part of yourself, rather than maybe like the small cards being like, this is an experience or this is a way you're experiencing something. So that's kind of how I would think of, I guess, yeah, just my overview of the court cards.
I like that. That provides a lot more structure for how to interpret these things. Which, again, is why I've always kind of struggled with the court cards, because they're very much them being like a unique personality or a very human applied thing, as opposed to a large life concept or an event that happens in life. Yeah, no notes. That's good. That's good learning. Good teaching.
We talked about we didn't talk about the visuals on the Thoth deck as much.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the visuals on the Thoth deck. We did talk a little bit about the Rider-Waite, and I don't think we talked about the ceremonial magic deck beyond his facial expression, his smarmy expression. So I do really like the Thoth deck's depiction of this. It is a very contemplative looking male figure on a chariot. All the princes in the Thoth deck are on chariots. The chariot's being driven by an eagle, a symbol of the most elevated form of Scorpio. He's looking into his cup very like brutally, and there is a snake coming out of the cup, which is another aspect of Scorpio. Also, the snake kind of implies like life itself, that inherent life force, Kundalini. And he has a water. He's like a lotus that is like in a seed stage, kind of pointed downward.
I can read the quote from...
Yeah, what does Duquette say about it?
So he quotes Crowley, and he says, "The moral characteristics of the person pictured in this card are subtlety, secret violence, and craft. He is intensely secret, an artist in all his ways. He is, in fact, perfectly ruthless," which is a pretty, again, the Thoth pulls no punches. Whereas a lot of decks, like I said, this card brought to mind like romance, but this one, the take is much more focusing, I guess, on that like illusory and the way more of like almost like without judgment. It's sort of used it as a force of nature. It's really focusing on, I think, this like air to water Kabbalistic symbolism. It says that Libra passing over to Scorpio is a very strong moment, but the active characteristics of air and the passive environment of water make an uneasy combination, like foaming bubbles exploding from an under-chilled bottle of champagne. These two elements do not care if they ruin the party or the furniture. They just want to get away from each other.
This is a reference to his wings are tenuous, almost of gas. This is a reference to his power of volatilization, understood in the spiritual sense. Kind of just following up on what you just said there. That's one.
Yeah, volatility seems very, this like effusive outpouring can be like cause for celebration. Like someone would be really excited if they were celebrating and you popped champagne, and that would be like really exciting and delightful. And if you went up to someone unsuspecting who didn't really care and popped champagne all over them, they would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely... It's
like a fire hydrant,
Yeah. There's like the fun image of like someone spraying the champagne when they pop the bottle, and then like the reality of like now I'm really fucking sticky.
Yep. Yeah.
And then if you're not part of that party, you're the only part of that you get is the sticky and violated part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me too of like people getting married and like smashing the cake in someone's face, and it's like, how long do those people last together?
I wonder about that too. Yeah, it's like that's how you're gonna start this thing out.
Yeah.
So we hate each other.
Oh my god, I just unlocked a core memory. We'll have to see if we leave this in or not. But I remember being like a little kid and my dad had peanut butter toast and he was like, "Oh, do you want some?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he like handed it to give me a bite and then like bopped it on my nose and I was like just immediately taken back like, and then like proceeded to do that like on other parts of my face and I was
God.
I was like a very clean child. Like I was like, I don't want to be sticky. I don't want to be humiliated. Like, and I just like ran to the bathroom crying. And like locked myself in there. I was like, this was not fun to me. Like, I don't know what the fuck you were thinking. Like, even as like a 5-year-old, you know, children have a very strong sense of justice. Like, what the hell?
I have a very similar memory, oddly enough, of my dad had my brother and I for the weekend, and like he made breakfast of, it was like eggs, oatmeal, and like some other thing, but like all very bland. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing for breakfast? This is kind of weird. But like he had planned to have like a food fight ready for us.
Oh.
Because he wanted to like give us the experience of a food fight. Because like that was a huge thing in the 90s. Like every opportunity they had in kids' movies and like TV, there was like some kind of food fight. So I don't know where adults in the 90s had this idea that kids like really wanted to throw food at each other. Also, like that, they never like break out in real life. Have you ever heard of a food fight breaking out in real life? Like, no one does that.
Nobody wants shit all over their clothes. Like, I get upset if there's ketchup on the table and my sleeve gets kind of close to it, or like maple syrup. No.
So yeah, my dad does this and like starts throwing food, and like my brother, I think, was like kind of into it. I don't remember, but I remember just like being fucking done. I was like, no fucking way. I got up and like I got on my bike covered in oatmeal.
Oh, no.
And like I didn't know where to go, or like I didn't go anywhere, but I just remember like riding around in the court in circles in front of the house, like covered in oatmeal, just being like, this sucks. But yeah, immediately I was like, that I had the same thing.
God. Was your dad also a Prince of Cups? Because I just said that too before we started recording. I was like, October 13th. So in the Thoth deck, the court cards also are associated with like certain birthday dates. So they might, could be seen as representing an actual person.
The knight or king, the prince or knight, and the queen all rule over parts of the zodiac, and then the princesses, I think, rule over geographically parts of the earth.
Okay, yes, the princesses are a little different.
Yeah. Like, we ran out of zodiac to do. Nothing for the princess there.
I think the princesses in the Thoth deck are a particular entity, so that's probably why they're treated differently, would be my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. But your dad is a Prince of Cups.
Yes. Libra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. He's the Libra part of it?
Yes.
Okay. No, my dad was not a Prince of Cups, but now I'm curious which one he was. Actually, let me trade you books really quick here. Is this mine?
That's yours.
This is mine.
Oh,
it just has your
cards
in it.
Yeah.
You can keep them in there if you want for a minute. So my dad was a Queen of Cups. Nope, my bad. Knight of Swords.
Okay.
Yeah. which we'll have to address that when we get to the Knight of Swords or the King of Swords, depending on your deck. Yeah, very, very Gemini energy from that one. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily tie back to the food fight directly.
But the energy was there. So that's the other thing.
Energy's there.
The other thing about the cards is it's not specific to, like, the birthday cards. It's the same way as anything. It's just sort of you happen to be within that range. But the archetype is that's what's coming through. So in that moment, I guess
he did have a lot of Prince of Cups qualities to him, I'll say.
And in both cases, they were attempting to do something like fun and loving, like, oh, I'm just playing around. But in both cases, it was like, I was not consulted. I did not appreciate this. And it was
met disastrously.
Yeah, it was very not fun. And yeah, it feels like violating, like, I don't want to have a mess on me.
I wonder how many people's first sense of violation comes from their father. It's a fun concept.
That's a whole rabbit hole we could go down.
I remember another fun thing with my dad, a traumatic event. When I was a kid, I was very small. I was big enough to, like, get up and go to the bathroom. Like, I don't think I was in, like, pull-ups or anything anymore, but, like, I had gotten up in the night to go to the bathroom, and my dad, like, hid in the hall and, like, gave me a jump scare.
Oh.
I was small, too, so it was horrifying.
Oh, my God.
My mom was so mad.
Yeah.
But from that point on, I was afraid of skeletons in the hallway. It's interesting. I don't know how that, like, how my brain, like, swirled that into skeletons in the hallway, but the hallway scared me. Oh, you know what? I think I had recently heard the term skeletons in the closet.
And you were like, that was one.
I was like, that was one of the skeletons in the closet. I mean, I knew it was my dad. He, like, immediately was apologizing and everything because I was crying.
But in your, like, primal child,
yeah.
Hindbrain, it was like, oh my God, danger. Like,
the psychedelic delusions of childhood. Or psychedelic perception that you have in childhood. So I guess let's boil this one down. I think we've kind of covered as much as we're going to get out of it today. I guess at the end of the day, we can see the Prince of Cups as a romantic, a sensualist. In high dignities, he can be a servant, like a public servant, like not it depends how you view the thing, but he has a servant's heart.
Like a steward, I guess.
A steward, sure. We've got the archetypes associated with him of the fedora incel. We've got the deep romantic, like Jamie in Steven Universe. One that you'd pointed out earlier that we didn't really get to talk about was Oscar Wilde. He is like a Prince of Cups in his where his birthday lies, right? And I think he pretty solidly embodies that archetype as well.
Of getting lost in kind of like material ecstasy, like drugs and sensuality, the arts. Pursuing
all that feeling.
Yeah. It was actually interesting in the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. It's this isn't directly related to tarot or to even this card, but we talked about how there's a horse or a chariot for the knights. And they talk about how this lover archetype, or the shadow side of it, the addict, he saddles his horse and rides out looking for renewal of ecstasy. He needs a fix of masculine joy. So it's using this metaphor of kind of riding from adventure to adventure, from one partner to another, from one fix to another. So you can see how that would relate to this kind of like insatiable kind of projection of there's always something else, there's always something better, as the illusion of romance rather than kind of staying put and navigating the reality of a situation.
Yeah, because romance is usually never like it's idealized. I feel like it's usually more practical and messy and involves a lot more talking than the idealized romance of the romantic
Yeah.
seems to be. So yeah, there's like a lot of illusion, which I think that's a thing for the cups in general. There's a lot of illusion that ties into them.
Yeah. So the illusion, and I guess when we think about Knight of Cups being air of water and that kind of effervescence, that's also kind of like makes me think of like a mirage. Like there's like this vaporous quality to, and like when we talked about projection too, like you can project onto like a vaporous thing and have an image.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is a pretty solid distillation of the Prince/Knight of Cups.
Yeah, this card is dreamy, romantic, projective, volatile, and arguably kind of lost in the sauce or water.
He is both the dreamboat and the incel.
The celebratory spray of a popped bottle and the unwanted sticky aftermath.
All that said, join us next time here on the Feral Tarot, where we'll be continuing our journey with the major arcana and a deeper dive into the divine feminine with the Empress.
Or we may have a special episode in store next where you join us on a field trip to learn more about the roots of Hermeticism and the mythology underlying the tarot.
And we'll see what the deck deals us.
Until then, come engage with us on Instagram, shoot us an email, and tell your friends.
And as always,
Stay feral, friends.